Have you ever noticed how you can do everything you were told was right, be respectful, be available, communicate clearly, and still end up feeling invisible, replaceable, or quietly rejected? No explanation, no closure, just that familiar question looping in your head. What am I missing? Here's the uncomfortable truth most men never hear. Attraction doesn't disappear because you're not enough. It disappears when you abandon your own center trying to be chosen. And once you understand that, everything about dating, confidence, and self-respect starts to shift in ways you didn't expect. There's a silent struggle happening beneath the surface that most men never put into words. On paper, dating has never been easier. Apps, social media, endless ways to connect. But internally, many men feel more uncertain than ever. They're putting in effort, following advice, trying to say the right things, and still walking away feeling unseen. That disconnect creates a quiet kind of frustration, the kind you don't complain about because you're told you should be grateful just to have options. What no one really explains is how modern dating overloads the mind. Constant comparison, instant feedback, the pressure to perform instead of simply exist. Over time, that pressure chips away at a man's sense of self. He starts adjusting his personality to be liked. He hesitates instead of leading. He gives more than he should, hoping it will finally be enough. And without realizing it, he trades authenticity for approval. This is where the advice to just be nice quietly backfires. Kindness without boundaries doesn't create attraction. It creates confusion and eventually resentment. Not because kindness is wrong, but because it becomes a substitute for direction. People don't feel drawn to uncertainty. They respond to someone who knows where they stand, even when that confidence is quiet. And this is the part most men never hear. Attraction isn't built through effort alone. It's built through emotional stability, through grounded presence, through a man who isn't trying to earn interest, but who carries himself as if his life already has weight and momentum. When that foundation is missing, no tactic can compensate. And here's where most dating advice goes completely off track. Most men are taught to focus on charm, say the right things, be interesting, make her laugh. And while those things can open a door, they rarely keep it open. What actually creates attraction over time is far less flashy and far more rare: consistency. Not routines, not predictability, emotional reliability. In a world where attention comes and goes without warning, stability stands out. Many people have been conditioned to expect mixed signals, plans that fall apart, energy that disappears once things feel real. So when a man shows up the same way tomorrow as he did today, it sends a powerful, unspoken message. This is someone solid, not desperate, not clinging, just steady. Consistency isn't about constant texting or overavailability. It's about alignment between words and actions. When you say you'll call, you do. When you make plans, you keep them. When you express interest, it doesn't vanish the moment you feel uncertain. That reliability creates a sense of emotional safety most people don't even realize they're craving until they feel it. Here's the paradox most men miss. Stability doesn't make you boring, it makes you trustworthy. And trust is what allows attraction to deepen instead of burn out. Without it, charm becomes noise. With it, even simple moments carry weight. But consistency only works when it comes from a place of self-respect. If you're steady while quietly hoping to be validated, the signal collapses. Real consistency is rooted in inner confidence. And without that, everything starts to feel performative. And that's where the next illusion starts to break down. Most men are told confidence is something you project. Stand taller, speak louder, act unbothered. But that version of confidence is fragile. It works only as long as nothing challenges it. The moment rejection shows up or interest fades, it cracks. And when it cracks, it usually turns into over-explaining, over-giving, or emotional withdrawal. Real confidence isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It's a quiet belief that you'll be okay regardless of the outcome. And that's exactly why it's so rare. Many men unknowingly build their confidence on external approval, attention, attraction, validation. When those things are present, they feel strong. When they're not, everything collapses. Here's what changes everything. Attraction shifts when a man no longer needs it to feel whole. The moment you stop treating interest as proof of your worth, your energy changes. You become less reactive, less eager to impress, more grounded in who you are instead of how you're being perceived. That groundedness is what people respond to, even if they can't explain why. Rejection stops feeling like a verdict and starts feeling like information. Not every connection works. Not every person is meant to choose you. And when you genuinely accept that, you stop shrinking yourself to fit someone else's expectations. You show up as you are, not as who you think you need to be. Confidence grows through self-trust, through setting small promises and keeping them, through respecting your own time, your own standards, your own direction. It's built privately, long before it's felt by anyone else. And once that internal confidence takes root, something unexpected begins to happen. Your presence starts to carry direction. There's a difference between having goals and having direction. Goals can change. Direction shapes how you move through the world. And what draws people in isn't the size of your achievements. It's the sense that you're going somewhere, even if you haven't arrived yet. Many men believe they need success first before they can be confident or attractive. But the truth is, purpose becomes magnetic long before results show up. A man with direction carries a different energy. His choices feel intentional. His time feels valuable. He's not drifting, waiting for something to happen. He's building towards something that matters to him. Purpose doesn't have to be grand or glamorous. It can be mastering a skill, rebuilding your health, growing a business slowly, or committing to personal discipline after years of inconsistency. What matters is that you're engaged with your own life. That engagement creates momentum, and momentum is felt. This is where many men get stuck. They talk about ambition, but their actions don't match their words. Not because they're lazy, but because they're afraid to commit and fail publicly. So they hover in potential instead of stepping into progress. But attraction doesn't respond to potential. It responds to movement. When you're genuinely focused on building something meaningful, you stop scanning the room for validation. Your attention turns inward toward growth. And paradoxically, that's when others begin to lean in. Not because you're trying to impress, but because your life has weight. But direction alone isn't enough. If your emotions control you, your purpose becomes unstable. And that's where the next shift begins. No one really teaches men how to regulate their emotions, only how to suppress them or let them explode. So when tension shows up, many men either react impulsively or shut down completely. Both send the same signal, instability. And instability quietly erodes attraction faster than almost anything else. Emotional self-control isn't about being cold or detached. It's about staying grounded when things don't go your way, when a message goes unanswered, when plans change, when emotions rise in the room. A man who can stay calm in those moments creates a sense of safety that doesn't need to be explained. It's felt. Most people have experienced emotional unpredictability before. Sudden mood swings, overreactions, passive silence. So when someone responds with steadiness instead of defensiveness, it stands out. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's rare. Calm becomes a form of leadership. This is where many men sabotage themselves without realizing it. They let small moments dictate their emotional state. One perceived slight changes their tone. One setback shifts their energy. Over time, that reactivity trains others to feel cautious around them, even if nothing is ever said out loud. Emotional self-control is built through awareness, noticing the urge to react and choosing not to. giving yourself space before responding, separating what you feel from what you do. That pause is powerful. It's where confidence, respect, and attraction quietly take root. And once a man learns to hold his center emotionally, a common stereotype suddenly starts to make sense. Not the behavior, but the effect. The appeal of the so-called bad boy has been misunderstood for years. It's not about disrespect, recklessness, or treating people poorly. Those behaviors eventually repel. What actually draws people in is something much deeper: self-possession. A sense that this person belongs to themselves first. The men who get labeled as bad boys often share one trait: they don't orbit around approval. They have their own rhythm, their own priorities, their own life moving forward whether anyone joins them or not. That independence creates mystery, not because it's calculated, but because it's genuine. You can't fully predict someone who isn't trying to be managed. This is where many men get confused and imitate the surface instead of the substance. They try to be distant, emotionally unavailable, or deliberately cold. But that's not what creates attraction. It creates walls. The real pull comes from emotional independence. Being present without being attached. Interested without being consumed. A man who doesn't rush to explain himself, who doesn't overcorrect when things feel uncertain, naturally creates space. And in that space, curiosity grows. Not because he's withholding, but because he's not chasing. He's living. The irony is that this kind of mystery disappears the moment you try to perform it. It only exists when your life genuinely doesn't revolve around one person's response. And when that happens, attraction stops being something you chase. It becomes something that meets you halfway. And that leads directly into one of the biggest traps modern men fall into without realizing it. Attention feels good. Validation feels good. And it's easy to confuse giving attention with being desirable. The problem is, when you hand it out freely, it loses its weight. Scarcity isn't about playing games. It's about self-respect. When your attention is unconditional and unlimited, it no longer signals value. It signals availability. Many men fall into this trap without realizing it. They comment, like, message, or compliment constantly, hoping that if they give enough, they'll finally be noticed or appreciated. But what actually happens is the opposite. Overgiving creates a subtle imbalance. It positions the other person as the holder of value and you as the seeker. That dynamic quietly erodes attraction. The key isn't to ignore people or be unkind. It's to value your own time, energy, and presence first. To let interest flow naturally, not to force it. When you treat your attention as something meaningful, it becomes something people notice. When you demonstrate that your life is full and your priorities are your own, others start leaning in rather than relying on you to chase. This isn't manipulation. It's the simple effect of self-alignment. Attention, when grounded in self-respect, becomes magnetic. And once you recognize this, the way people respond to you changes. Suddenly, you're no longer just another person in the crowd. You're someone who carries weight in your interactions, naturally drawing others toward you. And once scarcity meets authenticity, something surprising happens. Social proof starts to work, not because you're performing, but because your life naturally signals value. We often hear about pre-selection or social proof, as if it's a trick to make others chase you. But the truth is simpler and more powerful. People are drawn to those who live lives that matter. It's not about showing off or creating competition. It's about naturally demonstrating that you have a world beyond someone else's approval. When you surround yourself with interesting, high-value people, friends, collaborators, or mentors, you signal something subtle but irresistible. Your life has depth. You're not defined by one relationship or one interaction. That independence, that richness of experience, automatically draws curiosity and respect. People are drawn to those who already have purpose, friends, and passions. The effect of social proof isn't about flaunting connections. It's about embodying a life that others want to be part of. When your energy suggests that you're in demand, not because you're performing, but because you're engaged in meaningful things, people naturally pay attention. They notice the calm confidence of someone whose life moves forward, regardless of whether they're being watched. This principle applies beyond dating. Whether it's friendships, work, or collaboration, being engaged in your own path amplifies influence. The more you invest in your life first, the more others are drawn in authentically. And yet, all of this, consistency, confidence, purpose, emotional self-control, and social presence, can falter without one core trait at the foundation: grounded masculinity. Masculinity has become a confusing word in today's world. Some treat it as aggression, others as dominance, and many avoid it entirely. But grounded masculinity isn't about being loud or controlling. It's about being anchored. It's strength paired with responsibility, clarity paired with calm. It's a quiet confidence that allows a man to navigate challenges without losing himself. Women, and people in general, are drawn to this kind of stability because it signals safety and direction. Grounded masculinity shows up in how you handle pressure, setbacks, and uncertainty. It's not about reacting to every mood or circumstance. It's about facing life with measured confidence and unwavering values. Being grounded doesn't mean being inflexible. It means knowing who you are and what you stand for, and not letting the noise of external opinion sway you. When a man embodies this, he naturally becomes a point of reference in his relationships and community. His presence alone communicates reliability, leadership, and strength, the kind of energy that draws others toward him without force. And the fascinating thing is, when grounded masculinity is combined with emotional intelligence, leadership, and self-directed purpose, attraction stops being about games or tactics. It becomes effortless. People want to follow, support, and be around someone who stands firm in themselves. This brings us to a trait that transforms all the others into influence felt, not demanded: leadership through presence. Passion is magnetic, but only when it's genuine. So many people mistake enthusiasm for performance, trying to impress, over-explaining their hobbies, or acting interested in things they don't care about. That kind of passion is hollow. True passion comes from a life lived for yourself, not for someone else's approval. When you pursue what excites you, challenges you, and stretches you, your energy changes. It becomes tangible. People notice the intensity and focus in someone who is fully engaged with their own journey. You stop chasing attention because your life itself creates gravity, and the attraction you feel from others is a byproduct, not the goal. Authentic passion is also resilient. Setbacks don't diminish it, they refine it. Mistakes and failures become lessons rather than defeats. This level of commitment shows that you are growing, moving, and evolving, and that growth is contagious. Others are drawn to it naturally because they sense your momentum, your dedication, and the life you're building. The key lesson here is simple but profound. Stop performing. Stop trying to impress or prove your value. Instead, live fully, pursue deeply, and commit wholly. When your passion is real, everything else, confidence, emotional presence, purpose, leadership, aligns effortlessly. Attraction becomes effortless because it mirrors the authenticity you carry. This is the moment where everything comes together. Stability, self-control, grounded masculinity, purpose, and passion all converge, creating a presence that commands respect and draws people in naturally. It's not about tactics. It's about becoming a man whose life is worth following. Here's the truth that changes everything. Success in relationships, in influence, in life, doesn't come from strategies, lines, or tricks. It comes from who you are when no one is watching. Attraction, respect, and connection are byproducts of a life lived intentionally, with consistency, purpose, and self-respect at the center. The men who stand out aren't the loudest, the most charming, or the flashiest. They are the men who show up, own themselves, and move through life on their own terms. They set standards and keep them. They pursue passions without apology. They regulate their emotions and carry themselves with grounded strength. That alignment creates a presence people are naturally drawn to, not because it's forced, but because it feels real. Here are 3 actionable shifts you can apply starting today. Build internal consistency. Honor your word to yourself before anyone else. Small wins compound into unwavering reliability. Remove approval-seeking behaviors. Pay attention to your own direction, not others' validation. Your energy will shift, and people will notice. Commit to a purpose bigger than attraction. Invest in growth, passion, and goals that matter to you. When your life carries weight, others are drawn naturally. The deeper lesson is this: stop chasing who you think others want you to be. Start showing up as the man you are capable of becoming. When you do that, attraction, respect, and meaningful connection aren't things you earn. They're things that naturally find you. Your journey begins not with someone noticing you, but with you noticing yourself. Build that foundation, and everything else falls into place.